Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Great American Bash 1985. More than 27,000 fans have packed into Charlotte's Memorial Stadium, and one of the most explosive grudge matches of the night is just moments away. It's the dog collar chain match between Boogie Woogie Man, Jimmy Valiant, and number one Paul Jones. No titles on the line here. This one's personal. These two men have been at each other's throats, quite literally, for well over a year, and tonight they'll be literally chained together by a steel link. The atmosphere is electric. You can feel the years of bad blood about to boil over.
Tony, this is a feud rooted in pure animosity and heartfelt hatred, the kind of rivalry that epitomizes what the NWA territory system is all about. It's not about championship gold this time. It's about pride, revenge, and humiliation. Jimmy Valiant, the beloved Boogie Woogie Man, has been through hell at the hands of Paul Jones and his so-called army of henchmen. And conversely, Jones has been obsessed with driving Valiant out of wrestling. Fans have followed this saga week after week, and it has all led to tonight's chain match, a stipulation so brutal that we've only seen its like in one other famous encounter. Remember Piper versus Valentine in 1983, which left lasting scars. The stage is set for a fight that could steal the show in terms of sheer intensity.
It just isn't another match, it's the culmination of a war. And what makes it even more intriguing is a mix of kayfabe and reality behind it. These men generally can't stand each other in the storyline, and that passion has spilled over to the fans. The crowd is firmly in Valiant's corner. You can hear them buzzy. Many of these folks grew up watching Paul Jones as a wrestler, even cheering him in the 70s, but as a manager, he's become one of the most despised villains around. And Jimmy Valiant, well, he's an unconventional hero, a wild brawler who dances and kisses the fans, but he represents the common people. And tonight feels like the people's payback against an arrogant tyrant. There's a sense that this match here at the Bash is a defining moment in Jim Crockett Promotions' ongoing tales, right alongside the Flair versus Koloff title clash and Rhodes versus Blanchard in the cage. It's personal feuds like this that give the NWA its soul.
For those who might be new to this rivalry, let's talk about Jimmy Valiant's persona. They call him the Boogie Woogie Man, and he's unlike any other wrestler. Valiant comes out dancing to rock and roll, shaking hands and kissing fans. He even calls those fans his street people, as if he's the champion of the common folk. He's a little unorthodox, a shaggy-bearded, flamboyant brawler with a heart of gold and charisma to spare. Underneath the clowning and dancing, though, is a man who's fought all over the world. We're talking about a seasoned veteran here, one half of the legendary Valiant brothers in the WWF and a major star in Memphis in years past. Jimmy reinvented himself in the Carolinas as the Boogie Woogie Man, a beloved good guy. Fans feed off his energy. Every time he comes to the ring, it's like a party meets a street fight. And frankly, that free-spirited popularity of Valiant's is like a red rag to a bull for Paul Jones.
Absolutely. Paul Jones hates how the crowd adores Valiant. You'll often hear Valiant shout out to his street people and give a big boogie-woogie dance, and the arena just erupts. That drives Jones crazy. He can't stand that Valiant has this cult hero status, and Jimmy, he knows how to needle Jones in return. He has all kinds of colorful insults for Paul. He's called him a weasel on TV. I recall Jimmy strutting over to our announce table once and asking if Weasel Jones had shown his face. Yeah? The fans have even taken to chanting Weasel at Jones, which, as you can imagine, makes the self-proclaimed number one absolutely apoplectic. Valiant might seem wild and goofy at times, but he's used those mind games brilliantly to get under Jones's skin.
Now, Jimmy Valiant's charisma is off the charts. He's a true people's wrestler. As rough around the edges as he is, he'll bellow things like "Mercy, Daddy," and drop those big Elvis-esque elbow shots, and the crowd just eats it up. He's even gone so far as to adopt a masked alter ego when circumstances demanded. Remember the name Charlie Brown from Out of Town? Well, that was Valiant under a mask whenever he was kayfabed or banned from wrestling. He'd find a way to keep fighting no matter what. That shows you his dedication to this fight, even if Paul Jones got him banned from the territory. Now, Valiant would sneak back in under a hood to rally his street people and go after Jones. But there's a bit of a wink and nod in that, fans who knew who Charlie Brown really was. But it underscores how this feud has blurred the lines. Valiant, the lovable rogue, just won't quit. and that resiliency has only made the fans love him more and more, and Jones even more livid.
Paul Jones, or number one Paul Jones as he insists on being called, is a very different story. He's a former champion wrestler himself, but in recent years, he's hung up the tights to become a manager. And not just any manager. Jones has declared himself a sort of military general, assembling what he proudly calls his Paul Jones's army. Let me tell you, folks, this army is made up of some of the most dangerous men you can imagine. Jones has basically put a bounty on Valiant's head, recruiting anyone willing to do his dirty work. We've seen assassins, literally the Masked Assassins tag team, jump Valiant. We've seen the monstrous Abdullah the Butcher brought in. Abdullah is inhumanly violent, and yes, he's here tonight in Jones's corner as well, ready to interfere if he can. Then there's Conga the Barbarian, a huge Tongan powerhouse. Jones introduced late '84 specifically to crush Valiant. Jones even convinced superstar Billy Graham, the former WWF champion, to join his ranks at one point, with Graham adopting a karate gimmick and doing Jones's bidding. It's been an ever-growing rogues gallery aligned against one man, Jimmy Valiant.
It speaks volumes about the intensity of this feud that Paul Jones felt he needed an entire army to combat one Boogie Woogie Man. Let's not forget, this all started with a deeply personal insult. Back in January 1984, Paul Jones and his henchmen ambushed Jimmy Valiant, tied him up in the ropes, and cut off that signature beard of his. Now, in wrestling, humiliations don't come much more personal than a man's hair or beard being sheared off. Valiant's beard was part of his outlandish look, and Jones knew exactly what he was doing, sending a message that he could embarrass and emasculate Jimmy in front of everyone. That incident lit a fire under Valiant. It was such a notorious attack that Jim Crockett Promotions promoted a special grudge show, Boogie Man Jam 84 in Greensboro, just to settle things. In that match, Dusty Rhodes literally had to be tied to Paul Jones with a rope to prevent Jones from running or interfering, while Valiant got his hands on one of Jones's assassins. Jimmy actually unmasked assassin number 2 as Hercules Hernandez at that event, giving Jones's crew a black eye. So from early on, it's been give and take. Jones humiliates Valiant by cutting his beard. Valiant returns the favor by unmasking one of Jones's men and winning that battle. And that only made Jones more determined to get rid of Valiant for good.
Now, Paul Jones' obsession with Valiant has been borderline maniacal. By mid-1984, Jones wasn't content just managing. He started stepping into the ring himself to fight Valiant in these gimmick matches just to prove a point. And he didn't come alone. His army was always lurking. Take Starrcade 1984, for example. That Thanksgiving night, they had one of the wildest stipulations yet. A tuxedo street fight, loser leaves town match. Both men in tuxedos, anything goes, and the loser had to leave the territory. Can you imagine the stakes? Jones was so desperate to rid himself of Valiant that he literally bet their careers on it. And shockingly, by hook or crook, Paul Jones defeated Jimmy Valiant that night. He tore Jimmy's tuxedo to shreds and sent him packing from Jim Crockett Promotions, but at least on paper. Fans were heartbroken, their hero was gone, but we all suspected it wouldn't be the end. Sure enough, as Tony alluded, a mysterious masked man, Charlie Brown from out of town, started showing up shortly thereafter. A man who looked and brawled an awful lot like Jimmy Valiant. Kayfabe or not, Charlie Brown kept the boogie spirit alive until Valiant could officially return. It was a bit of a real-world necessity meeting storyline creativity, because nothing was going to stop this feud. The bad blood was too strong. Jones may have won that battle at Starrcade, but he couldn't savor it for long.
Fast forward into 1985, Jimmy Valiant did come back, and the war reignited hotter than ever. If anything, Paul Jones doubled down on his efforts to destroy the Boogie Woogie Man. He kept adding new soldiers to his army. Early in '85, we saw the return of men like the great Kabuki for a short stint. Kabuki blew his dreaded mist and attacked Valiant on TV to soften him up, though that alliance didn't last long. But most prominently, Jones unveiled the Barbarian. This huge, face-painted powerhouse debuted and immediately targeted Valiant. I remember Jones standing by with that smug grin as Barbarian delivered headbutts and big boots to Jimmy. It was one assault after another. Valiant, meanwhile, realized he couldn't fight off an entire army alone forever. He found an ally in Raging Bull Manny Fernandez, a tough-as-nails fan favorite. In fact, Valiant and Manny formed the B&B connection of Boogie Woogie and the Bull. As a tag team, to counter Jones's goons. The two of them had great chemistry, both brawlers with big personalities. Manny brought the Latino fire and that flying burrito elbow, and together they started knocking back Jones's troops. They even got help at times from folks like the veteran Wahoo McDaniel and the young up-and-comer Sam Houston. Anyone who had a score to settle with Jones seemed willing to team up with Valiant. It became a huge territory-wide struggle. Paul Jones's army versus Jimmy Valiant's circle of friends.
By the spring of '85, it was clear this had to come to a head. Crockett Promotions signed the match for the Great American Bash, Valiant versus Jones one-on-one. But knowing Jones, he'd find a way to escape or cheat, so the stipulation was made, a dog collar chain match. That's about as final as it gets, folks. Both men will be locked by the neck to opposite ends of a steel chain. No running, no hiding, and that chain can be used as a weapon. Given the violence we've seen in this feud, a chain match is fitting, if not a little frightening.
This is it. Years in the making. The Boogie Woogie Man versus number 1 Paul Jones, chained neck to neck. The referee calls for the bell and Jones tries to backpedal, but there's no escape, nowhere to hide. Jimmy Valiant yanks the chain, and here we go. The fight is on.
I have to point out again, Tony, Paul Jones is not exactly a full-time wrestler these days. He's a manager and a mastermind. Yet there he is, stepping to the ring, chaining himself to that wild man Valiant. That takes guts, if you ask me, and you know Jones always has a trick or two up his sleeve.
Indeed he does. And notice at ringside, each man has brought backup. Jimmy Valiant's longtime friend Buzz Tyler is in his corner, while Paul Jones has the monstrous Abdullah the Butcher lurking on his side. That presence of Abdullah could spell danger. He's as unpredictable as they come.
Tension is palpable. Referee Tommy Young is trying to fasten the collars onto both men. And would you look at this, the Bortats, Paul Jones is stalling. He's refusing to put that dog collar around his neck.
Can you blame him, Tony? Would you want to be chained to the Boogie Woogie Man? Valiant is liable to bite him or worse. Ha! Jones is smartly trying to clip the collar onto Abdullah instead, and maybe let the Butcher do his dirty work.
That won't fly. The referee is insisting Jones wear the collar as stipulated. Buzz Tyler is on the apron shouting at Jones to quit stalling. Oh, Abdullah the Butcher just climbed up on the apron too. This could break down before the bell.
They're ringing the bell finally. Jones has the collar on, whether he likes it or not, and this dog collar match is officially underway, and Paul Jones goes straight on the attack. Valiant is still reeling from that pre-match assault, and Jones is taking full advantage.
Jones wraps that steel chain around his fist and nails Valiant on the forehead. Valiant is busted open already. Blood is trickling down the Boogie Woogie Man's face. You can see the viciousness of that steel chain. It can rend flesh like a cheese grater. Valiant is definitely in a bad way, but I've seen this man fight through incredible punishment before. He's as tough as a $2 steak, as they say. Paul Jones hauls back for another chain-wrapped punch. No, Valiant blocked it.
There's life in the Boogie Woogie Man yet. Valiant blocks and fires back with a left of his own, and another left. Jimmy Valiant is starting to rock Paul Jones with those punches, and this crowd is on their feet.
Paul Jones is slammed hard to the canvas, chain and all. That's the first big momentum shift. And listen to these fans erupt. They're firmly behind Jimmy Valiant.
Uh-oh, the tide's turning, and that's not good for Paul. Valiant has that crazed look in his eyes, Tony. This is where Valiant gets dangerous. He's like a man possessed when he's got the upper hand.
Jimmy Valiant now takes that thick steel chain and wraps it around Jones's throat. Valiant is paying Jones back in kind, choking him out. Jones is flailing, trying to reach the ropes, but it won't save him. They're chained together. The ref is checking but can't force a break.
What a reversal of fortunes. Moments ago, Jones was choking out Valiant. Now it's Paul Jones who's turning purple. Valiant is just ragdolling Jones with that chain. Wait a minute. Abdullah the Butcher is up on the apron again. Abdullah's climbing through the ropes with that steel spike in hand.
But here comes Jones from behind. He's got the chain wrapped around his fist. Valiant doesn't see him.
Jones swings. Jimmy Valiant ducks. Jones accidentally hits Abdullah. Jones just smashed Abdullah with that chain-wrapped punch by mistake.
Abdullah is rocked. The big man falls off the apron to the floor after that inadvertent shot. Paul Jones looks stunned. He just decked his own ally.
No, that's not what was supposed to happen. Abdullah was here to help, and now he's down on the floor right in front of us. He looks dazed, Tony.
Inside the ring, Jimmy Valiant is seizing the moment. Paul Jones is totally disoriented. Valiant winds up. Boogie Woogie elbow. The big elbow drop lands flush on Paul Jones.
Valiant with the cover. The referee counts 1, 2, 3. It's over. Jimmy Valiant has pinned Paul Jones. The Boogie Woogie Man wins the dog collar match.
What a fight. What a fight. Listen to this crowd erupt. They're going absolutely bananas here in Charlotte. Jimmy Valiant has finally gotten his payback tonight.
I can't believe it. Paul Jones lost. Valiant actually beat him. This place is deafening. My headset can barely block the noise.
Valiant promised to make Paul Jones pay, and he did exactly that. He's beaten Jones decisively in the middle of the ring, despite all of Jones's underhanded tactics.
And he had to overcome Abdullah's interference to do it. Speaking of which, look out.
Abdullah the Butcher is furious. Despite that blow he took, Abdullah's climbed back in the ring after the bell. He's attacking Jimmy Valiant from behind.
Here we go. Abdullah's not going to let the boss go down like that. Valiant may have won the match, but Abdullah is determined to make him pay the price.
Somebody stop this. And Paul Jones is still down and bloodied, but Abdullah is and jabbing that spike into Jimmy's forehead again. Valiant is defenseless after that war he just went through.
Finally, here comes Buzz Tyler with a steel chair. Buzz Tyler slides into the ring and swings at Abdullah. He catches Abdullah across the back with the chair.
Abdullah the Butcher is reeling from that chair shot. Buzz Tyler is like a man possessed, chasing Abdullah off. The big man drops out of the ring to the floor. He wants no part of an enraged Buzz with a chair.
Jimmy Valiant is a bloody mess, but he's standing tall with Buzz Tyler holding him up. The fans are giving Valiant a standing ovation. They know they've witnessed something extraordinary tonight. Jimmy Valiant came into this match seeking revenge and validation. He finally pinned Paul Jones, exorcising the demon of that loss at Starrcade. In doing so, he's given these fans a moment they'll never forget.
Yet this was a slugfest, pure and simple. Not a technical masterpiece, but a wild brawl that embodied the intensity of this feud. And you can bet it's a match folks will be talking about for years. The Great American Bash is about big moments, and this was one of the biggest tonight.
I'll reluctantly give Valiant credit. He has survived everything Paul Jones threw at him. But mark my words, Gordon, Paul Jones is not done. He still has his army, so you think he's going to let this embarrassment stand? No way. This war is far from over.
You're likely right about that, Joe. Paul Jones will surely scheme for revenge. This feud has been one of the most heated in the NWA. But tonight, it's Jimmy Valiant's night. The Boogie Woogie Man reigns supreme at the Bash.
What an atmosphere, what a match. I mean, the crowd here in Charlotte got exactly what they wanted. Paul Jones defeated and humbled, at least for now. Historically, Saboteen fans will remember this as one of Jimmy Valiant's finest hours, and it sets the stage for whatever comes next in this crazy rivalry.
Ugh. Well, this feud will never end. Yeah, it's like the wrestling's version of the never-ending story, except instead of a flying luck dragon, we get Paul Jones's mustache and Jimmy Valiant's beard.
Indeed. And somehow Jones, a manager, pushes Valiant to the limit. That's like your bowling coach suddenly deciding he's going to win Wimbledon. It just doesn't compute.
And can we talk about Buzz Tyler and Abdullah? Every time this feud starts to fade, they just drag those two back out like the world's worst encore. Ladies and gentlemen, you demanded it. Actually, nobody did.
Right. Because at this point, I think the real feud isn't Valiant versus Jones. It's me versus trying to stay awake during another one of these matches.
If only there were a referee brave enough to disqualify this storyline for stalling. Sorry, folks, this angle has gone on too long. Ring the bell.